First contact with consequences. The research vessel Hawking drifted silently through the Carina Nebula's outer reaches, its sensors probing the darkness for signs of the anomaly that had brought them 12 light-years from Earth. Dr. Maya Rivera stood at the bridge's observation window, her dark eyes fixed on the swirling cosmic gases that painted the void in brilliant shades of purple and blue. "Another negative scan, Doctor," reported Lieutenant Sarah Cooper from her station. "Whatever caused those energy signatures we detected from Earth, it's not showing up on conventional sensors." Maya nodded, unconsciously adjusting the collar of her Science Division uniform. The Hawking was officially a civilian vessel, but like most human ships that ventured this far from Earth, it maintained certain military protocols. Humanity had learned early that the galaxy was rarely as empty as it appeared. "Run it again," Maya ordered, "but this time, let's try something different. Adjust the quantum resonance detector to search for patterns instead of specific energy signatures. Sometimes you have to look for the shadow rather than the object casting it." Cooper raised an eyebrow, but complied. It was exactly this kind of unconventional thinking that had made humans both fascinating and slightly unnerving to the few alien species they'd encountered so far. While other civilizations built their scientific understanding through careful, methodical progression, humans had a habit of making intuitive leaps that defied conventional logic. The bridge hummed with the subtle vibration of the ship's sensors reconfiguring themselves. Maya returned to her station, fingers dancing across the holographic display as she fine-tuned the search parameters. Something about this region of space had been nagging at her since they'd arrived. The nebula was too quiet, too orderly. Nature, in Maya's experience, was rarely so accommodating. The sensor array chimed, drawing everyone's attention. "Doctor," Cooper called out, her voice tense. "You need to see this." Maya was already moving, her eyes widening as she took in the display. Hidden within the nebula's natural electromagnetic field was a pattern so subtle it was almost beautiful. A lattice of quantum-entangled particles spanning several light-minutes in every direction. "It's artificial," Maya breathed, her mind racing with implications. "This entire section of the nebula has been modified at the quantum level. But why? And more importantly, by whom?" The answer came with devastating suddenness. The lattice of particles suddenly flared to life, bathing the Hawking in exotic radiation that their shields had never been designed to handle. Alarms blared as systems began failing across the ship. "Multiple contacts," shouted the tactical officer, emerging from within the nebula itself. Maya watched in a mixture of horror and fascination as massive shapes emerged from the cosmic gases. They were unlike any ships she'd ever seen. Organic curves melded with crystalline structures in ways that shouldn't have been possible. The vessels surrounded the Hawking in a perfect geometric pattern, their intentions clear even before the communication system crackled to life. A voice spoke, its words translated by their computers into something approximating human speech. "You have entered restricted space. Your presence has activated the Sentinel array. Prepare for inspection and quarantine." Captain Alina Rodriguez stepped onto the bridge, her expression grim but determined. "Dr. Rivera, would you say this qualifies as a first contact situation?" Maya nodded slowly, her scientific curiosity warring with her survival instinct. "Definitely, Captain. Though I'm more concerned about why someone would go to the trouble of hiding an automated defense system inside a nebula." "Usually," Rodriguez replied, "people only hide things they're either afraid of losing or afraid of being found by." She turned to her communications officer. "Signal Earth Command. Tell them we found something, but we might need help getting unfound." As Maya watched the alien vessels close in, she couldn't shake the feeling that they'd stumbled onto something far bigger than a simple security system. The quantum lattice was too sophisticated, too elegant in its design. It wasn't just meant to detect intruders. It was gathering data, studying them. "Captain," she said quietly, "I don't think we're the first ones to trip this system, but we might be the first ones to survive long enough to notice it." Rodriguez's expression hardened. "Then let's make sure we stay alive long enough to figure out why." She straightened her uniform, projecting a confidence she might not have felt. Open a channel to our new friends. If they want to study us, they're about to learn that humanity's greatest defense has always been our curiosity. As the alien ships maintained their position, Maya couldn't help but smile despite the danger. Humanity had spent centuries looking for signs of advanced alien civilizations. Now it seemed they'd found one, or at least its automated security system. The real question was, what were these sentinels guarding, and why did they seem so interested in the humans who'd found them? The answers would come soon enough, but Maya suspected they wouldn't like what they discovered. Because if there was one thing humans had learned since venturing into space, it was that the galaxy's greatest secrets were usually the ones someone had gone to extraordinary lengths to keep hidden. The price of innovation. Lieutenant Commander Zhang Wei stood at the tactical display aboard the EDF Hyperion, watching as 12 more ships dropped out of hyperspace around them. The response fleet to the Hawking's distress signal had grown from a simple rescue mission to what was essentially a small armada in the span of 48 hours. It wasn't every day that humanity discovered an alien defense network hidden inside a nebula. Status report. Admiral Chen's voice crackled over the fleet-wide channel. The Admiral had been pulled out of retirement for this mission, largely because she'd written half the protocols for first contact scenarios. No change in the alien vessel's position, Admiral Wei reported, studying the holographic display. They maintained their geometric formation around the Hawking. Our analysis suggests their weapon systems remain powered down, but their shields. He paused, double-checking the readings. Their shields appear to be operating on principles we've never encountered before. Elaborate, Chen ordered. We gestured, expanding the sensor data for the entire bridge to see. They're not just deflecting energy or matter. They're actively manipulating space-time on a quantum level. It's as if each ship is surrounded by its own pocket universe, with slightly different physical laws. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had theorized about such technology, but seeing it in action was something else entirely. The aliens weren't just more advanced. They were operating on a fundamentally different level of scientific understanding. Dr. Rivera's last transmission indicated the Sentinel array was studying us. Admiral Chen mused. Perhaps it's time we gave them something worth studying. Lieutenant Commander Wei, implement Project Mobius. Wei's fingers hesitated over the controls. Project Mobius was classified beyond top secret, a theoretical weapons system that most of the scientific community had declared impossible. Admiral, the system hasn't been field tested. The power requirements alone cold. Could tear a hole in space-time, Chen finished. Or it could show these sentinels that humanity isn't as primitive as they might think. Execute the order, Commander. We nodded, entering his authorization codes. Throughout the fleet, ships began moving into a new formation, one that mirrored the Sentinel's geometric pattern, but with subtle, crucial differences. Each vessel activated specialized equipment that had been hidden behind false hull plates and sensor-blocking materials. Project Mobius initiating, Wei announced. Quantum entanglement field generating in 3, 2, 1. The space between the human ships suddenly lit up with impossible colors as dozens of quantum fields intersected and merged. It was beautiful, in a way that hurt to look at directly. The Mobius system was designed to do something that every physicist had declared impossible. It created a controlled artificial quantum superposition field large enough to encompass multiple starships. For a brief moment, every ship in the human fleet existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously. They were both there and not there, their very existence becoming a paradox that defied conventional physics. The effect on the Sentinel array was immediate. The quantum lattice that permeated the nebula began to resonate with their field, creating harmonics that rippled through space itself. The alien ship's perfect formation wavered as their shield systems struggled to compensate for something they had clearly never encountered before. By all known laws of physics, this shouldn't be possible, Wei muttered, watching as the sensor readings went haywire. That's humanity's greatest strength, Admiral Chen replied with a grim smile. We have a habit of doing the impossible when our backs are against the wall. Open a channel to the Sentinel vessels. The communication system crackled to life, and Chen's voice rang out across space. This is Admiral Helena Chen of the Earth Defense Force. You've had time to study us. You've seen what we're capable of. Now, perhaps, we can have a real conversation about why you're really here. The response came not in words, but in a sudden shift of energy patterns throughout the nebula. The quantum lattice they'd detected earlier wasn't just a detection grid. It was a test. And humanity, by demonstrating technology that should have been beyond their capabilities, had just changed the parameters of that test. The alien ships began to move, their formation dissolving into something new. Their shield patterns shifted, no longer defensive, but reciprocal. They were matching the quantum state of the human fleet, creating a bridge between two fundamentally different approaches to physics and technology. Admiral, Wei called out, his voice tense with excitement and apprehension. I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout the nebula. Something's happening. As they watched, the cosmic gases began to part, revealing something that had been hidden at the very heart of the quantum lattice, a massive structure, ancient beyond imagining, that pulsed with the same impossible energies they had just demonstrated. The Sentinel array hadn't just been guarding this region of space. It had been waiting for a species that could think beyond the conventional, that could see the impossible and make it real. Admiral Chen's expression was unreadable as she studied the structure. It seems, Lieutenant Commander, that humanity has just been invited to join a much larger conversation. The question is, are we ready for what that conversation might reveal? We looked at the tactical display, where human and alien ships now hung in perfect quantum synchronization, and realized that, ready or not, humanity had just taken its first step onto a much bigger stage. The price of innovation, it seemed, was the responsibility that came with it. Alliances forged in starfire. The ancient structure's interior defied conventional geometry. Dr. Maya Rivera walked alongside the Sentinel representative, a being that called itself Observer Vex, through corridors that seemed to fold in on themselves while simultaneously expanding into infinity. The quantum physics that humans had just begun to grasp was literally built into the walls here. Your species achieved in decades what others took millennia to discover, Vex said, its crystalline form refracting light in hypnotic patterns. The quantum superposition field you created, it should have been impossible given your current level of technology. Impossible is just another word for hasn't been done yet, Maya replied, studying the holographic displays that lined the corridor. They showed star systems, thousands of them, many marked with ominous red indicators. Though I suspect you didn't bring us here just to complement our innovation. The observer's crystalline surface dimmed slightly, their equivalent of a grim expression. No, we brought you here because your tendency to defy conventional wisdom may be exactly what we need. They reached a central chamber where Admiral Chen and Lieutenant Commander Wei were already waiting with other Sentinel leaders. The chamber's center was dominated by a three-dimensional map of the galaxy, but something was wrong with it. Entire sectors were missing, replaced by void-like expanses that seemed to drink in light itself. Maya felt her scientific curiosity warring with primal fear as she studied the anomalies. The decay, Vex explained. A force that doesn't just destroy matter and energy. It erases the very laws of physics that make existence possible. We've been fighting it for longer than your species has existed, but we're losing. Our conventional methods can no longer contain it. Admiral Chen stepped forward, her expression thoughtful. That's why you created the Sentinel array. You're not just defending territory. You're searching for species that might approach problems differently than you do. Correct. Another Sentinel chimed in, this one's form more angular and aggressive. Our civilization achieved perfect technological harmony. Every solution, every advancement, followed the pure logic of mathematical progression. But against the decay, The being's crystal structure trembled. Logic fails when reality itself breaks down. Maya moved closer to the galactic map, her mind racing. But humans don't follow logical progression. We make intuitive leaps. We try things that shouldn't work. She paused, an impossible idea forming. We create quantum superposition fields that shouldn't be possible with our level of technology. Precisely, Vex said. Your project Mobius demonstrated an approach we would never have considered. You didn't try to overcome the laws of physics. You simply chose to exist in multiple states where different laws applied simultaneously. Lieutenant Commander Wei had been quiet until now, studying the tactical implications. The decay erases physical laws. Then maybe we don't try to fight it with physical laws at all. If we could expand the Mobius field, create a space where multiple sets of physics exist simultaneously, it would be like trying to erase a number that's simultaneously positive and negative. Maya finished, excitement building. The decay would have nothing concrete to latch onto. Admiral Chen's expression remained cautious. The power requirements would be astronomical. We'd need to combine our quantum technology with Sentinel engineering on a scale never before attempted. Which is exactly why it might work, Vex said. Our precision and understanding of quantum mechanics, combined with your willingness to attempt the impossible. The observer's crystal structure pulsed with new light. We need your ships, your scientists, and most importantly, your unique perspective. Maya looked around the chamber, at the faces of both species, human and Sentinel, and saw the same mix of fear and determination. The decay was coming, erasing everything in its path, but for the first time, the Sentinels had hope. Not because humans were more advanced, but because they were different, because they looked at the impossible and saw opportunity. There's something else you should know, Vex added, manipulating the galactic map. We've detected decay outbreaks near your home system. Earth has perhaps 3 standard months before it enters the erosion zone. The humans stiffened, but Maya noticed something interesting. None of them showed panic. Instead, she saw the same expression she'd seen countless times in laboratories and testing facilities back home. It was the look of people confronting an impossible problem and thinking, well, we'll just have to make it possible. 3 months to combine 2 wildly different technological approaches and develop a weapon against something that erases physical laws, Admiral Chen mused. Under normal circumstances, I'd say that's not nearly enough time. Good thing humans don't operate under normal circumstances, Wei replied with a grim smile. How soon can we begin integrating our systems? The chamber erupted into activity as both species began working together, sharing knowledge that had been theoretical for one and fundamental for the other. Maya watched as human intuition and Sentinel precision began to merge into something entirely new. They were about to attempt something that violated every known law of physics, every rule of technological progression. In other words, she thought with a smile, just another day at the office for humanity. The decay was about to learn what happened when you threatened a species that treated impossibility as a personal challenge. The impossible fleet. Lieutenant Commander Wei watched through the Hyperion's viewport as Sentinel engineers swarmed over the hull of his ship, their crystalline forms glinting in the nebula's ethereal light. What they were attempting had never been done before, merging human quantum superposition technology with Sentinel phase shift drives to create vessels that could exist in multiple states of reality simultaneously. Power integration at 70%, reported Lieutenant Cooper, who had transferred from the Hawking to help coordinate the modifications. The Sentinel quantum matrices are, sir, you need to see this. Wei moved to her station, studying the readings. The Sentinel technology wasn't just integrating with their systems, it was evolving them. The Mobius field generators were operating at efficiencies that should have been theoretically impossible, even by their already impossible standards. They're learning from us as much as we're learning from them, Dr. Rivera commented from her new station, where she was coordinating with Sentinel scientists. Our tendency to push boundaries, to try things that shouldn't work, it's affecting their technology on a fundamental level. Through the viewport, Wei could see similar modifications being made to the entire human fleet. Each ship was becoming a hybrid of human ingenuity and sentinel precision, their hulls now adorned with crystalline structures that pulsed with otherworldly energy. But the most dramatic changes were happening to the flagship. The EDF Hyperion had been transformed into something that defied conventional description. Its hull now existed in a constant state of quantum flux, sections of it phasing between different states of matter. Sentinel crystal formations had grown throughout the ship's superstructure, creating new geometries that hurt to look at directly. "Admiral on deck," someone called out. Admiral Chen strode onto the bridge, but she wasn't alone. Observer Vex accompanied her, along with a delegation of Sentinel commanders. Their crystalline forms had been modified to interface directly with human technology, creating an unprecedented level of integration between the two species. "Status report," Chen ordered, taking her position at the command center. "The fleet's modifications are at 85% completion," Wei reported. "Early tests of the enhanced Mobius field show we can maintain quantum superposition across multiple ships simultaneously." "But," he hesitated. "Speak freely, Commander. The power requirements are astronomical. Even with Sentinel technology boosting our efficiency, we can only maintain the field for short periods. And we still don't know if it will be enough to counter the decay." "Show them," Vex said suddenly, its crystalline form pulsing with urgent light. Admiral Chen nodded grimly. Main screen. The holographic display came to life, showing a region of space near the Horsehead Nebula. At first, everything looked normal, but then Wei noticed it. Air is where the stars simply stopped. Not hidden or blocked, but erased, as if that section of space had never existed at all. "The decay has accelerated," Chen announced. "At its current rate of expansion, it will reach Earth in less than 2 months, not 3 as originally projected. We're out of time for further testing." Maya stepped forward, her expression determined. "Then we test in the field. The simulations show our hybrid technology should be able to create a bubble of quantum uncertainty large enough to resist the decay's effects. If we can't stop it completely, we can at least slow it down until we find a permanent solution." "And if we're wrong?" Wei asked. "If the quantum field fails, every ship in the fleet will be instantly erased from existence. Then we'll have died trying something unprecedented," Chen replied firmly. "Which is about as human an ending as I can imagine." The Sentinel commanders vibrated in what Wei had learned was their version of approval. They had come to respect, perhaps even admire, humanity's willingness to risk everything on untested theories and impossible plans. "The modifications to the fleet will be complete in 6 hours," Vex announced. "We've identified a small decay incursion that will serve as our first test target. If we succeed there, we can attempt to establish a defensive line around your solar system." Wei turned back to the tactical display, studying the fleet's new capabilities. The hybrid ships were now capable of things that violated every known law of physics. They could phase between different states of reality, exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, and generate quantum fields that defied conventional understanding of spacetime. "To think," Maya mused, "a month ago we were just a research vessel looking for anomalous energy readings. Now we're about to attempt the most ambitious engineering project in human history." "That's not entirely accurate," Dr. Vex corrected. "This is the most ambitious engineering project in any species' history. No one has ever attempted to combine technologies in this way, let alone use them to fight something that unmakes reality itself." Admiral Chen's voice cut through the discussion. "All ships begin final preparation sequences. In 6 hours, we make our first stand against the decay. And whether we succeed or fail, let the galaxy remember that when faced with the impossible, humanity's response was to make the impossible work for us instead." As the crew rushed to their stations, Wei caught glimpses of their expressions. There was fear there, of course. They were about to face something that violated the fundamental laws of existence. But there was also determination, curiosity, and that uniquely human spark of defiance against the very concept of impossibility. The impossible fleet, as the Sentinels had begun calling them, was about to attempt something that had never been done before. But then, Wei thought with grim satisfaction, that was what humans did best. Victory's edge. The edge of the decay looked like the end of reality itself. Lieutenant Commander Wei stood at his station aboard the Hyperion, watching as the hybrid fleet approached the boundary where normal space simply ceased to exist. The void ahead wasn't darkness, it was nothingness, a complete absence of everything, including the laws of physics themselves. "All ships report ready," Lieutenant Cooper announced, her voice steady despite the tension. "Quantum synchronization at optimal levels." Admiral Chen stood at the center of the bridge, her presence an anchor of calm in the storm of activity around her. Observer Vex stood beside her, its crystalline form pulsing with complex patterns that reflected off the modified surfaces of the bridge. "Begin Phase 1, Chen ordered. "Initiate the Mobius field." Throughout the fleet, human intuition and sentinel precision worked in perfect harmony. The quantum superposition generators spun up, their impossible energies amplified and focused by crystalline structures that shouldn't have been able to exist in normal space. Reality itself began to blur around the ships as they entered multiple states of existence simultaneously. "Field stability at 97%, Maya reported from her station, where she monitored the theoretical physics that they were now putting into practice. "The Sentinel modifications are holding. We're ready for Phase 2. Wei watched as the tactical display updated, showing the fleet's new configuration. 27 ships, human and Sentinel alike, arranged in a pattern that mirrored the fundamental mathematics of the universe itself. Each vessel now existed in multiple quantum states, their very presence a defiance of conventional physics. "Forward elements detecting extreme reality distortion," Cooper called out. "The decay is reacting to our presence." Through the viewport, Wei could see it happening. Where the quantum fields from their ships met the nothingness of the decay, reality itself seemed to shudder. It was like watching two fundamentally opposed forces of nature collide. "Phase 2, Chen commanded. "All ships, initiate reality anchor protocols." The Sentinel crystals throughout the fleet began to pulse in perfect synchronization, their structure extending beyond normal spacetime. They were creating fixed points in reality, using them as anchors to prevent the decay from simply erasing them from existence. "It's working," Maya exclaimed, her eyes wide as she studied the readings. "The decay can't process our quantum state. We exist in too many potential realities for it to erase us from all of them simultaneously." But the victory was short-lived. The void ahead began to shift, changing in ways that defied description. The decay wasn't just a force of destruction, it was adapting. "Energy spike," Cooper shouted. "The decay is attempting to alter its own properties to counter our quantum state." Wei watched in horror as the nothingness ahead began to pulse with impossible energies. 3 of the forward Sentinel ships suddenly flickered, their quantum fields destabilizing as the decay found ways to unmake them across multiple realities simultaneously. "We need to act now," Vex announced, its crystalline form vibrating with urgency. "The decay is learning. If we don't stop it here." "Phase 3, Chen cut in, her voice carrying the weight of command. "All ships, prepare to initiate the Humanity Protocol." Wei's hands tightened on his console. The Humanity Protocol was their last resort, a plan so dangerous that even the Sentinels had been hesitant to attempt it. They weren't just going to resist the decay, they were going to fight it with its own weapons. "Diverting all power to the quantum matrices," Cooper reported, reality anchor points holding at maximum capacity. Throughout the fleet, hybrid technology pushed beyond its theoretical limits. The quantum superposition field wasn't just maintaining multiple states of reality. It was actively generating new ones. They were about to attempt something that no species had ever tried. They were going to create their own laws of physics. "Humanity Protocol initiated," Maya announced. "Quantum field coherence at 120% of theoretical maximum." The void ahead rippled as human and Sentinel technology worked in perfect synergy. Where the decay erased the laws of physics, they created new ones. Where it generated nothingness, they generated infinite possibility. It was a battle between unbeing and potential, between entropy and creation. Forward elements report quantum field penetration into the decay zone. Cooper called out, We're pushing it back." Through the viewport, Y could see it happening. The nothingness was retreating, unable to maintain its grip on reality in the face of their combined offensive. But the cost was enormous. Ships throughout the fleet were showing signs of strain, their hybrid systems pushed to breaking point and beyond. "We can't maintain this level of field generation," Maya warned. "The quantum matrices are starting to destabilize." Admiral Chen's expression remained resolute. "We don't need to maintain it. We just need to prove it's possible." She turned to Vex. "Observer, are you recording all of this?" The Sentinel's crystalline form pulsed with confirmation. "Every moment. The data we're gathering, it's revolutionary. We're not just fighting the decay. We're learning how to rewrite the fundamental laws of existence." A sudden shudder ran through the ship as another wave of nothingness crashed against their quantum fields. But this time, something was different. The decay wasn't just retreating, it was changing. "Impossible energy readings from the void," Cooper reported, her voice filled with wonder. "The decay, it's not just being pushed back, it's being transformed." Maya's hands flew across her console as she analyzed the data. The quantum fields aren't just creating new laws of physics, they're rewriting the old ones. We're not erasing the decay, we're converting it into something else. Through the viewport, they could see it happening. Where there had been nothingness, new reality was taking shape. The combined power of human innovation and sentinel precision wasn't just stopping the unmaking of existence, it was creating something entirely new. All ships, maintain position, Chen ordered. "Let's finish what we started." The battle raged for hours, reality itself hanging in the balance. Ships were lost, their crews making the ultimate sacrifice as they pushed their hybrid technology beyond all safe limits. But in the end, where the decay had been, something new remained. A region of space where the impossible had become possible, where the laws of physics themselves had been rewritten by the combined will of two species. As the quantum fields finally stabilized and the fleet regrouped, Wei looked at his readings with a mixture of awe and pride. They hadn't just stopped the decay. They had proven that even the most fundamental laws of the universe could be changed when humanity and its allies refused to accept impossibility as an answer. "Send word to Earth," Admiral Chen commanded, a rare smile crossing her face. Tell them that humanity just helped rewrite the laws of physics, and we're just getting started." The impossible fleet hung in space, their hybrid technology a testament to what could be achieved when different species worked together, when precision met innovation, and when the impossible was treated not as a barrier, but as a challenge to be overcome. The decay had sought to unmake reality. Instead, it had helped forge an alliance that would reshape the galaxy forever. And at the heart of it all was humanity's greatest strength, the absolute refusal to accept that anything, even the fundamental laws of existence themselves, was truly impossible.